Thank you, Jeff, for everything. Jeff is an absolutely amazing, he's like a hero out here. He's kind of the stalwart in person when it comes to working out with the communities and really focusing on what's important. As he mentioned, my name is RB. I am the Executive Vice President, Outfront Media, and I'm also have the pleasure of being the moderator today in discussing music, cultural, and brands. But before I begin, I just wanted to say, thank you to Outfront, because we're at a time and a place where politics aren't where they should be. And our commitment to diversity has been unwavering. Number two, I want to say thank you also to Jeff for putting this here together in Detroit, the home of Motown, right? Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, The Temptations, all big brands. And I'm excited to have a fruitful discussion today. So I'm gonna ask my panelists to come on up. So I'm from my left to right to left, and Christy, I'm going to have you introduce yourself today.
Good morning, good morning. I am Christy Sanya. I am Managing Director for McCann Detroit. We are a global advertising agency, have been in existence since 1912, and have shepherded brands such as GM, Coca-Cola, L'Oreal, and so there is a very long and storied history, and it is really an honor to be here with you today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kristen Roshan. I'm here with NBC Universal, National Account Director, but my past experience includes working as a full-time content creator, working for Clear Channel, which is now iHeartMedia, Michigan Chronicles 40 Under 40, and I'm really excited to be here.
Morning. I love that energy. So my name is Adafio Addo, known to everybody mostly as Addo. I'm the Business Development Director at Bedrock under Community Growth and Development. And I kind of fill in the gray space at Bedrock, helping bring in best-in-class retail, restaurant, office, but also business attraction, some of which you guys are going to experience tomorrow, Afrofuture. So really excited to be here. Some of my past is I've worked in the crazy industry of music at Capitol Records, running marketing there, and then also leaning into advertising for HBO and DirecTV. So lots of careers where there's plenty of alcohol and craziness.
He's buying a little later tonight at the bar, so that's good. Thank you very much. So I'm going to set the stage and kind of hop right into talking about culture and creativity. And so, Kristen, how would you describe the current moment in culture right now, and what's exciting for you creatively?
I think creatively, I'm most excited about just how artists and creators are rolling out content and brand partnerships. For example, an artist could drop a single on Friday, by Monday have content up that shows behind the scenes, a brand partnership launching by that Wednesday, and you literally are taking the audience, your fans, on that journey with you. So I'm really excited about just the way that content creators are pushing content out there and really creating a just cultural revolution as far as us being a part of the movement and pushing things forward.
And then, how do we integrate and become part of that movement, like closer? What's the secret sauce for us?
I think we are the secret sauce. I think let me be very clear here. We are a special people, and we know how we've been blessed with the ability to create, and not only create, but create moments and create music and create fashion and create things that push the culture forward. So I think the creativity is just within us, and I think that's something that we're able to amplify, push into the world, and be able to create movements that last generations.
Fantastic. We're here, a panel discussion on music, culture, and brands. And this question is for you, Christy. What are some examples of music-driven brand partnerships you've seen or led that actually got it right? And what made them work more than just a soundtrack?
So there are a couple that come to mind. So I'm going to take you back first in history. There's a very popular song that if I started it, we all would know. Because when we think of music, it's really the audio story of, because I'm in advertising, of the ad. So in 1971, there was a little song. I wish I Coca-Cola. And so, By the World of Coke, that was an original track. It was an original track that Coca-Cola bought into, and of course, McCann was the brand that brought it to you. But and then that wasn't. But the point of that was there was a cultural moment there in 1971 that Coca-Cola capitalized on, and then that has become a part of what we all know as a part of their brand. It was genuine to who they were. It was about community. It was about coming together. Most recently, what has excited me about a brand partnership rooted in music are the recent series of ads that Beyonce has had with Levi's. So Levi's is a 100 plus year old brand. We're all familiar with it. It has gone through its ebbs and flows as a brand, but here it is. Beyonce has modernized it. She has modernized advertising that actually was a part of Levi's history and brought it to a completely new audience in a very new and interesting way, and at the same time cemented herself in a completely new genre of music. So the intertwine of how that is, right, and then the stories that are told. So now I'm sure everyone's gonna go Google, well, what's the old laundromat Levi's ad, right? You'll start to see how that history has come through, but how it's been made new and fresh again. And so those are things, when I was thinking about our discussion and prepping for this the other day, music is so ubiquitous and it's such a part of what we do every day. I actually had to go back and ask myself, what would be the examples that someone could just, it's a low-hanging fruit because it is all around us, and it is a space that really bridges us no matter the generation, the socioeconomic, education, no matter what. Music is what binds us, much like sports.
Music is that language that brings us all together. We all hear
Yes.
a song and remember where you were, or you walk into your parents' home and there's a certain smell in that kitchen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you start to smile. And so that's how the brands are coming together, which I love. So thank you. Otto, how do you navigate the balance between artistic integrity and commercial opportunity?
I love that. I'd say between the two, there's something that's really important in the middle, which essentially is the intention. If you have the right intention in terms of what you're trying to do on commercial success, as commercial success grows, you actually lend yourself room to help someone, right? A young creator, someone who has the intent to grow something, from start to finish. So I think, most folks kind of miss the intention piece, right? It's like, we're going to create a thing and it's going to be amazing, but it's like, how is it going to be amazing? What audience does this go to? What does that audience actually care about, right? Don't take it from the surface level, go more granular, go deeper. I think that's really important to anything that's created, music-wise, brand-wise, and most people forget that, unfortunately. So I think that's the biggest key.
Fantastic, and I guess she brings us into, I'm gonna move around right now to some trends and risk-taking, because your response is right on par with my next question. And this question is for anyone to answer. Now, we've seen recent brand moments, like the American Eagle and other campaigns, spark big conversation online about how brands show up in culture. How does your team decide when to lean into a cultural moment versus sit out of it? And that's up for anyone.
Yeah, I kind of ask 3 questions. I'm usually just like, okay, do we have permission to even be a part of what's going on? Is this something that's relevant to the business, to the company? And then the last one is really, is this a story that's authentic to us? And if all 3 of those are unclear, hell no, I'm not doing it. So usually what I would say is, well, let's support a creator that's out there that's doing it, so that feels more authentic to the brand, right? It's really us just giving the platform the opportunity to that new creative that's doing something that is catching. I don't like to be a part of trends. I like to just create moments that identify with all culture. I think that's crucial, right? Trends can die so quick, and there's something unique about Black culture. There's things expire without us having to communicate. Right? We just know when it's not cool anymore. And that's usually when some big company is like, this is lit. And you're like, bro, we ain't saying that right now. Yeah, so to me, those are the 3 things that I kind of go by to make sure we're not falling into a hole that we can't get out of.
You know, what's interesting to me specifically about the American Eagles, American Eagle example is, let's be clear what happened before the ad went out, because I have been in that room, right? So I'm gonna tell you what happened. What happened was the ad was presented and everyone was very excited about it. We love that idea. Blue jeans, we get it. Double entendre, love it, love it. Yes, it's live, go, yeah, right? Because a lot of money and time went into the contract with her. A lot of money and time went into the creation of that ad. So there was a lot of excitement. So know that. Ad drops, and so this goes back to intention and understanding your audience. You did not know who all you were talking to, because in that room, and these are the rooms that I sit in, you were talking to yourself. So you were excited about it yourself, and we know who was in the room who was excited about it. So now that the ad drops, and you're waiting for everybody to be as excited about the ad as you were. And it's like, what do you mean? Wait, we didn't, that's not what we meant. But you never had the discussion about how it would land with others outside of that room. And so therein lies the, now what do we do? Do we scale it back? Do we pull it? Do we put something else? Oh, let's go get the other ads that we have off the shelf to show how relevant we are to all of the others that we now ostracize, we polarized with that message, right? And so, you know, there are these moments that are happening culturally, because one of the things you were saying, Kristen, I thought creativity now is at a speed that we cannot control. And there was a time that as an ad agency, you could control the speed of the creativity. And we can't do it now, right? Because that moment happens, and now we're in crisis management mode. Right? And then another brand that we saw that got it right at the same time was Astronomer. So CEO and HR director, right? Getting the kiss on, right? On the big cam.
There's still so
right?
many ways he could have went about that.
Yeah, there's so many different ways, right? Like he just played that all wrong. But as a company, right, you now, because the heart of your company and the leadership and the HR, they all getting they groove on. Both are married, yeah, but look how they flipped that, right? You get Gwyneth Paltrow, who's ex-wife of, right, Chris Martin, at a table doing her thing. Like you took that moment, because none of us knew who Astronomer was. We're like, what is that? But you flipped it and made a moment out of that, right? But that was quickly getting together, understanding who the audience was, and the intention. And so that intention that you talk about is just so critical, and especially nowadays, because there is such sensitivity when things are dropping and the immediacy of how someone can respond.
So, great response, but my question goes back to, was it a success?
I would say yes and no. So, and we discussed this, right? Yes, in the sense that, well, you got eyes. Were they the eyes that you wanted? You got attention, you got awareness, but is that what you wanted, right? I think the telltale would be, do the jeans sell? Because for a client, it comes to the bottom line. So how is my bottom line impacted? And I don't know if we know that yet, but that ultimately is where they will begin to judge, and they will rationalize the success of it, I think.
You want to add anything to
So
Kristen?
I will say this, as far as American Eagle, I think they marketed to who they wanted to market to. They were pushing the narrative of Americana, of blue eyes, of blonde hair, and Sweeney was that girl. And I think they got what they wanted. What I hope is that they don't try to placate to diverse audiences now, because they realize, in my opinion, the mistake that was made by marginalizing people that wear jeans, because we all wear jeans, but I'll be in some Levi's before
Well, you
I
got
wear
Levi's.
American Eagle.
Exactly. Got word American Eagle today on the stage. Amen to that. And it leads me into the next question. Once again, it's open for anyone to jump in. With AI now capable of generating music, how do you see this is impacting creative process for brands? And where should the human touch remain or become essential to that process?
I'll jump in here. I'm not a musician. I love music. But I do believe everyone is familiar with AI, familiar with ChatGPT. What you put in is what you get out of it. But what you can't get out of using AI is the soul and the spirit of what music brings. And I think no matter, how we create music and AI, I think AI now has like virtual boy bands out and like virtual artists out, and they're pushing it. It will never replace the soul of musicianship and what we create and what we can create as a culture.
I would say that for music, being a musician and working in the music business, music to us is truly a channel to your ancestors. It's an ancestral experience, and AI just has no connection to that, right? You can type up as much as you want, you can put in references, and it just cannot replicate that, right? And so you still need the human ear. Even if you're not into music and you're into ASMR, right? There's something that you hear when, my three sisters and they're getting their hair done, they're using the curling iron. It's that sizzle, right?
Yes.
AI don't know what that sizzle is, right? It's that grease, yeah. So it's important to know that AI can truly not replace the core essence, the soul of what music is. And music, again, to your point, is really an emotional feat to any brand product, to any movie, to any TV show, to any advertisements, right? It really evokes a certain emotion, and that also has intention behind who that audience is. And so for me, I use AI in the music sense to understand artists more. I like to understand the history of what I'm listening to. I'm really big into like music from like 1950s, 1960s, Africa, Caribbean, and Afro-Latin. And old soul, yeah. And those artists have incredible stories that are still relevant today. And so I think it's important for me to sort of get that Wikipedia 10.0 through ChatGPT on just learning where the music is coming from. And it just also helps informs my storytelling bit because it's sometimes less about the artist and more about the journey of how they got there. So I think that's important. It's something that you can use time and over again. But again, like you mentioned, that soul, man, you can't take it out.
Music is a feeling, right? You always remember how you feel. You may not know the words to the song, but you know how you feel when it comes on the radio.
Absolutely.
It's great. And I'm going to stick with, trends and risk taking. Christy, what lessons have you learned from previous campaigns, and have you been wrong? And I say that because I have two boys, and they always say, "Hey, Dad, tell me something about making mistakes." I says, "Well, I've read about mistakes in books, right? Because I've never made one."
Risk taking. So, a lot of my career has been with automotive. And with automotive, there isn't a whole lot of risk taking. Like the level of risk taking is like the color of the vehicle that will be featured, right? It becomes the whole thing, right? But when I think of the conversations, though, that we have and how we work every day to push clients out of their comfort zone so that you don't have a Sweeney situation, right? And helping them to understand, I would say the risk-taking are those quiet moments with a client, helping them to get over, right, what their concern might be, how will this land, if they're really, really rooted. And to be clear, I worked on brands like Chevrolet and Ford that are very, very much rooted in who we are as America and how now you need to start talking to other audiences. Those were actually risky conversations, right? They were risky in the sense of you need to not just have a big TV ad, you need to be in the community, right? You need to have, as the previous panel, we talked about collaboration and coming with your authentic self, right? As a company. And so there were always moments where you're sitting with these brands and helping them to understand who at the end of the day is buying that vehicle. what their experience is with that vehicle, how that's a moment of pride. And so let's help them shine in that vehicle, but not in a condescending way. And so I would say that while there isn't like one example of this is the risky moment and what happened to me, there are the risky conversations with big brands like that every day. The key, again, and the previous panel talked about it, we've talked about it, is being in the room. Having someone in the room that's not afraid to have that conversation, right? That you're sitting across from a client who there are millions and millions of dollars at stake, and they are nervous about making a decision. And so appealing to them on a human level and having a conversation as one human to another about what they need to do and what they need to achieve. So I would say not one singular moment, but daily risky kinds of conversations that you're having about how to move your brand forward.
Thank you. This one's for Kristen. What tools or channels are you using to connect with your audiences today, and how do you think about connecting them with the consumers?
So I would probably say, as far as the platforms that we're using today, TikTok is a great example of how you can, get out into the ethos of social media and try a trend. It then graduates to your Instagrams, to your YouTubes for storytelling, and then multiplies from there. I think utilizing multi-platforms is important, and you definitely cannot just rely on one. But I do kind of want to jump back on the question earlier as far as risky brands and a risky moment. So how many of you guys are familiar with Bad Bunny, the artist? How many of you are familiar that he's doing a full residency in Puerto Rico? And the first 9 shows were specifically for Puerto Ricans. No one could get into that show. This is a artist that has taken a very risky moment as far as excluding global audiences from seeing his performances, and he's really bet on himself. So I really just wanted to bring up that example, because when you bet on yourself, when you stay rooted in culture, you're always gonna win.
What's interesting about that is you use the word excluding as opposed to including, and right? Mm-hmm. But that's how it's perceived. Mm-hmm.
Bad Bunny's Good Bunny then.
Bad Bunny is Good Bunny.
Great Bunny. Great
That's
Bunny.
Good Bunny and good money, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Next question, I'm going to go back to kind of the Black creatives and communities. How can brands better support Black creatives, not just during cultural moments or Heritage Month, but lasting long-term ways? And as we know, Black History Month is the shortest month of the year, so we got 28 days. So we've lost 72 hours.
Yeah.
But we do Black History 365,
Amen
right?
to that.
That's right.
Amen
All day.
to that.
Yeah.
I would probably jump in here and say, coming from a creative side and from the media side, I'll say this, from the creative side, we definitely need to be at the table for these conversations and push for us to be included throughout the year, not just for multicultural budgets, not just for Black Music Month, which is June, by the way, not just for Black History Month. I think that the more that we have those conversations and the more that we push and make sure that we're a part of a full 365 day of the year effort, I think that would help us get in the rooms and do the things that we need to do to help push the culture forward.
Yeah, I would say that in regards to that question, I would say 3 things. 1, pay, empower, and sustain, right? I think those are really critical words to explain and answer that question. But I think being at the table is very important, but also showing corporate partners how you create that table is just as important. The process in sausage making is really key for leaders to see. And I think if you create that table, you create your own seat, and you create your meal, everybody can eat off of the success of that. And from there, I think that's when you really empower the right community in order to really see success in that way.
That's great. And I'm going to stay with you, Otto, because you were the music lover here on this panel.
Oh, yeah.
So what's exciting you creatively in the way music is used as a storytelling tool?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
So what's exciting you creatively in a way that music is used as a storytelling tool?
Oh man, well, storytelling is my favorite thing. James Morris is getting up. He's a big storyteller.
But are they true stories? Are they true stories? Right?
Oh man, I love it, man. No, music truly is a powerful tool. I mean, being able to work with clients like DirecTV and HBO. You know, one of the big clients that we were able to kind of partner with was Insecure, right? And a huge piece of that show's success was the music, right? There's times that you hear and you're like, dang, what record is this? And so I think like being able to connect with music supervisors, knowing who they are culturally in depth into how people view things, how people feel things, is really important. And I think the way music is now is less commercial and more expansive, right? So you could be a small artist who makes it big. You could be a big artist that just stays at the bottom, right? So there is no rules anymore the way it flows. And I know labels are scratching their heads and kind of losing their minds. You can see what's going on with Tyla. Sold 4,000 copies, right? But that's an awareness issue, right? There's a cultural issue that's attached to that. So I think music, in the sense of how it brings emotion, it really story tells for all brand products and any visuals that you see that does really pull people in, especially our culture.
Great, thank you. I'm gonna keep this one for anyone who wants to answer. Staying on the topic of music, have you seen moments where music selection or artist partnerships become a cultural flashpoint for a brand? And what do you take away from that?
I'll jump in here. Does anyone remember an artist named Kendrick Lamar? Listen, that GNX album I bumped like literally for at least a whole year solid. But one of the things that really stood out to me is the fact that, do you remember the brand that he partnered with when his first tour got announced? Cash App. He had consumers trying to get Cash App cards so they can pay, and I think it was they got that's it. They were able to get exclusive access to tickets, and literally I think that was an ingenious partnership that did not capitalize on his fan base. And I think when you're looking at having partnerships with brands and partnerships with artists, you have to be able to, one, meet the artists where they are, also meet their audience and their fan base, and it has to be a seamless partnership. And I think that was one of the really great partnerships that I enjoyed watching come to fruition, as well as singing They Not Like Us, all summer long.
And I know we're running low on time, so I'm going to ask one question for all three panelists to address. Looking forward, what's the hope you have for the next generation of Black creatives coming up at the intersection of music, culture, and business?
I would say make your own rules. Make your own rules, be confident about those rules, and execute on those rules. I think for a lot of creatives, we usually ask our friends, our families, like, what do you think about this? Stop doing that. Just do the thing, right? Whether it's wrong, whether it's right, who knows? But there are no rules. And I only say this from the music side. I have a lot of friends who are artists who think about their rollout and what needs to go on a certain project. And I'm like, it doesn't matter anymore. Just do it, put it out, because you are gonna spark so many groundswells of audiences that are fans to you. And then you're gonna be able to understand exactly what it is that they want, what they care about. And so I'd say there are no rules. You can create your own and just live in your own ecosystem. Always have verticals, always create your own ecosystem, so that when you are at the table at a corporation or a business that wants to invest in you, you have a lot to give outside of just the product. You have multiple products to give and serve. So that's the one piece that I would leave everyone with.
I would echo those sentiments, and also this: own your IP. You have to remember, we are creative beings, and there are culture vultures, and they are real. I would say, because as creators, a lot of times we're just so excited about getting the work out, where if we don't own what we create, then we fail. And that's the one thing I would probably say: make sure you own your creative IP, and then also know your worth and know how to charge accordingly.
Yeah, I echo all of that. I was thinking that as well. Begin to understand the business side, right? And and understanding your worth when you are sitting at that table. That is your moment. So, know what your product is. You are your product, you are your brand, how that is packaged, what you want, right? Be prepared to negotiate, because you're going to ask for this, they're going to go here, you're not meet somewhere in the middle. So what would you be happy with, even though you're going to go here? So just understanding where they're coming from. So much of advertising is understanding your audience. And so in understanding your audience, where are they coming from? What is their context? It's the same when you're sitting in that boardroom. You're sitting across from someone that isn't you, that doesn't have your background. So help them understand that so that as you're selling in that product, you get the most of your value.
Thank you very much. Enlightening, the best panel I've seen ever, because it's my panel. Yes. So give them a round of applause.